the court, my lord. Brigadier, good morning once more.
Good morning, Advocate Mnisi.
Thank you. Yesterday, there was a bit of an issue relating to whether or not, I still remember I said yesterday, up to yesterday, there were no documents that were presented to court, which indicate that accused number 2 had signed, thereby instructing Mr. Mjiyako to go and represent him. To still remember that?
Yes.
Thank you.
I remember that discussion, my lord.
Thank you. And there was a response from you. It was also followed up by the state. I think the court also got into the discussion. But the gist of what you said, the state, was to the effect that those instructing documents constitute privileged information that can therefore not be divulged. I want to correct that. They do not. They can be made available as and when needed at any time because they've got no personal information that can be classified as a privileged information. Thank you.
So, my lord, I think then I was perhaps misunderstood. What I said, my lord, it is not my space to venture into the choice an accused person or a suspect makes when he elects to choose whatever legal representative of his choice or her choice that he chooses. So that is how far I took it. And I said, because of that, I could not venture into that, my lord. I even made an example that the only place where I may play a very limited role is when an arrested person says to me, I need assistance of the legal aid board. So I will assist insofar as making that arrangement. But what they discuss moving forward, I don't get involved. So I never referred to privileged documents as it's been put, to say those documents, I have them. I don't know, my lord. That was my answer. I don't know how instructions were given.
angingeni indaba ukuthi umsolwa ukhetha abantu ukuthi akibe uyena ommelayo mhlambe ke lapha engamsiza khona uma engathi ufunde uyofuna udinga usizo legal aid la bengasiza khona kodwa ke mina angingeni ukuthi yena usikhethela ukwenza.
Yes. The other thing, my lord, perhaps which arises from what we discussed yesterday with Advocate Mnisi, that I want to just to put it in record because it came.
No, I'm not done with my
You're not done.
No,
but you asked me certain
proceeding.
things. You asked me certain things. I want to respond to that. Remember, you asked me.
Is it in relation to the question that in relation to the issue that I've just mentioned now?
No. It was really in relation to what you asked me to get. But it's fine. Let's leave it. Then you can carry on, my lord. It's fine. You can carry on, my lord.
I think the best thing that you can do, or the procedure, Brigadier Gininda, that you can do, is when the state re-examines you, you can then request through the state to bring that issue up, depending on whether it will necessitate further questions from us. Then if it's going to necessitate further questions from us, then we are going to request an indulgence from the court to further cross-examine you on that aspect. Do you understand?
My lord, I hear what Advocate Mnisi, but then I'm having a difficulty when a request is made by him to me to assist on certain aspects, and now when I want to respond to those aspects, I must leave it for the state to lead it. But be that as it may, I'll leave it at that, my lord, because it's him who asked me, and I wanted to deal with that aspect. But I've heard what he's saying, and I'll leave it at that, my lord. It's fine.
Thank you. Otherwise, I'm not the captain of the ship. That was just my view. The captain of the ship is seated up there. If it decides that the whirlwind that directs this ship must go to east, west, south, or north, then the final decision is with the arbiter, who is the honorable court. That was just my view. The final word must come from the court. That is what I'm trying to say. Thank you. We're waiting for the final word from the court. As it pleases the court, my lord. You further referred to, when I referred to A58, you referred to, I think it was A7, A12, which was another statement, that is A12, another statement that was penned by Cletoness Khumalo, the old lady. Now, wherein you refer to a portion that says one of the intruders there had dreadlocks on. Do you still remember that?
I do recall that, my lord.
sakhumbula yini ukuthi mase ukhona lesi statement okhulume ngaso senzwa uGladys Khumalo la kuthiwa omunye ke labantu ababehlasela wayenama dreadlocks wathi yebo ngiyakhumbula.
Now, you say A58 and A7 must be read conjunctively, not disjunctively. In other words, we cannot read the one in isolation of the other. Do you still remember that?
Athi sakhumbula ukuthi uthiwa A7
A12, I'm referring to A12. I don't know where this A7 comes from.
sakhumbula ukuthi umuntu A12 ufanele afundwe nemanye amaphepha angafundwa ebekweceleni engahlanganiswa namanye amaphepha.
My lord, what I said, my recollection is that I've indicated that A12 was made few hours after the incident took place. That's what I've said. And then I said subsequent to that, then A58 was then made a month later. And my view, my lord, was that at that stage, and I can say it with certainty that my suspicion was actually correct, that it could have been made for the issues of the ID parade. I have since confirmed that indeed it was for the issues of the ID parade.
Ebengishilo ukuthi ke u-A12 wenzwa ngalelo langa lesigameko kodwa ke u-A58 wenzwa sekudlule inyanga ngicabanga ukuthi wasetshenziswa wawenzelwa ikhombakhomba.
Yes, normally when a further statement is made, that is referred to as an additional statement. You can have a second additional statement, a third additional statement, etc., etc., etc. But what I want to bring to you, or what I want to bring to your attention is that whilst in A12, Ms. Khumalo mentions that the intruder who had a firearm had a dreadlock hairstyle. And she ends there. And in A58, she further elaborates on the nature of the dreadlocks, or the style of the dreadlocks that this intruder who had a firearm had. And she says she had dreadlocks that came to her jaw area. Would that not be a better description in terms of a witness who's describing a person that she saw in a particular incident?
I don't think the witness's jaw area. I think yesterday counsel himself posted the portion where she says came up to the neck, not the jaw area.
I'm sorry, my lord, that is my mistake. Jaw and neck, to me they look, yes, but she says came up to that hang up to his neck. It really doesn't make any difference. But the question is, would that not constitute a better description of the person that she saw on that day?
Manje Khumalo umese chaza lapha ku-A58 ungathi uchaza kabanzana ukuthi lama dreadlock ayenjani ngoba uthi leke lama dreadlocks ayefika entanyeni lokho ke kuyona incazelo engcono.
So, my lord, yes, if it was a mere additional statement seeking clarity to what was said by A12, yes, that will be a better description. However, as I've said, my lord, earlier, and if one read at A58 in its entirety, because the problem here, Advocate Mnisi only referred me to paragraph 6, which deals with the length of the dreadlocks. But if you read the statement from the top right up to the end, one will see that that statement was taken for the purpose of the ID parade, where Mrs. Khumalo went to identity parade, identified the wrong person that I spoke about, Mr. Mbata, and even referred to the number. So if you look at Mr. Mbata in terms of the photos that were taken on that ID parade, he bears the dreadlocks that comes to the neck, my lord. There's a photo album that was taken for that ID parade. So the essence of A58, it wasn't just to assist the police to describe the intruders. It was in relation to the ID parade that he attended, identify a person bearing number 11, because it's contained in that statement A58, and subsequently photos were taken. That was the essence of that statement. So the issue of the dreadlocks up to the neck relates to the person that he identified, and obviously places this person as one of the intruders who were there when the incident took place.
Okay, uma ukuthi uyasifunda sonke istatement lesi uzosizisa ukuthi leso statement sasingenzelwanga ukuthi amaphoyisa akwazi ukuthi azi ukuthi umuntu ubani, kodwa sasenzelwe ukuthi kubonakala ukuthi labantu ababekhona lapha kukhomba babe abantu abanjani. So ke lesi statement sasingenzelwanga amaphoyisa bese sasenzelwe ikhomba.
Yes, my lord, that's my response. And if it needs be, I'll refer to the album that was taken, because as I said, A58 refers specifically to the person that was identified, and subsequently the photo album for that ID parade, my lord, which is marked as A72 in the docket. You can see the person that was identified by Mrs. Khumalo.
Iyabonakala lapha ethombeni ku A72 uthi lo muntu owakhonjwa uMakhumalo wayemuntu onjani.
Thank you. At least despite the long winding explanation or answer, at least you conceded that that was a better description of one of the suspects, particularly the one who had a firearm in his possession.
Ngisathi nanoma ke ulethe incazelo ende kodwa kuyamukela ukuthi impela lincazelo ebilapha ku A58 indonyana.
But my lord, you can't disassociate the fact that the person she refers to, that she identified, was a wrong person. You cannot separate it, because that's why I'm saying A58 says who did she identify, and it became clear in the investigation that Mr. Mbata, whom was identified and arrested, was the wrong person. He was not involved in this matter.
Kodwa awukwazi ukubalekela lo ukuthi ke lapha ku 858 ibichaza ukuthi ubani amkhomba, ngoba lapha wakhomba umbatha kuyena lo muntu lo wakhomba umuntu ongeyena.
Brigadier Gininda, you seem to be missing the point in a very grave way. Look, Ms. Khumalo says, I was one of the people in the house, and when we got accosted, I was there. I saw the suspect that was in possession of the firearm. That suspect that I saw looked like this. That is a point that we cannot shy away from. Whether that ultimately in the ensuing identification parade, whether she identified a wrong person or not, that is immaterial. The fact is her capacity to identify the intruder who had a firearm in his possession. Remember, I said to you that at the core of this trial is the identity of the intruders.
uMakhumalo yena wayekhona endlini, and futhi ke uMakhumalo wambona lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu. So ke into semqoka la ukuthi yena wakwazi ukuthi lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu wayeumuntu onjani.
My lord, that's not what A58 says. A58 doesn't say the suspect looks like this person she identified. She says the person she's identifying is one of the intruders. That's the bottom of A58, my lord. Not that this person looks like the person that had the firearm. That's not what A58 says, my lord.
A58 akazi ukuthi lo muntu wayenjani. Ile ichaza lo yena amkhombayo ukuthi ukhomba umuntu onjani.
Thank you. Let us proceed to Brigadier Gininda. Now, you have been mentioning that there was an identification parade that was held wherein Ms. Khumalo identified what you referred to as a wrong person. From what you're saying, I gather that there can be no dispute between the defense and the state that indeed such an identification parade was held, which would then necessitate me authenticating the process at the identification parade. I need to take that up from my colleague. I just want to hear his comment. Thank you, my lord.
Mala, the identification parade has been handed up. Evidence has been led. I don't know why this issue is being canvassed with the state.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you. I'm told, my lord, that the form, the identification parade form is E1, and the photo album is exhibit E2. Thank you, Mr. Ramsupiri. Now, you say Ms. Khumalo at the identification parade identified a wrong person, and you said that person appears in photo number
Uthe Khumalo wakho umuntu okungeyena.
photo 16. From my look, she identified a person who had a tag number 11 that was put on his chest, that appears on photo number 16.
Uthe wakhomba lo muntu owayephethe ke unumber 11 obonakala lapha esithombeni unumber 16.
Also on photo number 4 in the photo album. It's a more legible photo. Yeah, I don't have saved. Thank you. Thank you, my lord. The more legible one is photo number 7. I don't have photo number 7 in my photo album, but nonetheless, I think the court has got a holistic copy of the photo album. It's photo number 7 and photo number 17. Now, the reason why I'm referring you to this set, it's because I want to demonstrate that there's consistency in what Khumalo is saying in terms of identification of the person that she described in A58, who is the person that was in possession of the firearm when they got accosted.
Hayi khombisa lokho ngoba Khumalo ukhuluma into eyodwa bekhuluma ngalo muntu athi wambona kuumuntu owayephethe isibhamu.
Maybe before you answer, Brigadier, I'm told that on the day on which this was dealt with, the photo of the person that was identified by Khumalo was actually beamed there. I'm requesting that we be assisted with that process as well, my lord, so that Mr. Mnube can see and follow these proceedings, not only try to work on imagination as to what kind of a person that we're talking about, so that if he sees this person, then he can come up and say, yeah, no, that is me. Or he can request me to go take instructions from him and tell the court, yeah, no, that is me. Thank you, my lord.
Pointed out the wrong person.
Well, my lord, it's common because that's why those documents have been handed up as well as the identification parade.
Thank
Is
you.
it been disputed?
There is no dispute, my lord.
So what's this exercise about?
This is just to demonstrate something, my lord.
Because you must remember there's a piece of evidence here in one of the persons who made a confession that in fact, when Mrs. Khumalo pointed out the wrong person, maybe you don't remember, I remember. Then we knew that this Khakeba, or witch doctor, or Sians, who worked on us, did a very proper job because even then the wrong person was pointed. Am I quoting the record correctly, sir?
No, but my lord, the
No,
court-
I'm just asking about the record.
I,
You want to argue with me?
Well, the
Is that so,
court,
Mr. Baloyi?
the court
Yes.
Is there some piece of evidence like this?
Yes,
That's
there
all I'm
is.
saying.
yes, but my lord, then the court will be mindful of the fact that that is governed by the provisions of section 217.
Yes.
And over and above that, my lord, I'm wondering if the court now wants to start to believe in multi things.
No.
That the Khakeba did a wrongful thing. If the court then is believing it, then the court is taking this civilized legal system back into its prehistoric instances.
I'm not quoting emotive thing. I'm saying there's a piece of evidence
Yes.
that says that. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, but then the court says, do you still remember that witch doctor said, one of the accused made a confession, said...
It's not the witch doctor who says that. It's one of the accused who
Yes.
allegedly made a confession.
Yes.
And he says,
Yes.
when it transpired that the wrong person was chosen,
Yes.
he, that person who makes that allegation,
Yes,
was satisfied that the muti works.
yes.
all.
Unfortunately, I'm not there, man.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
And
I'm in a
it's
different
not dispute
trajectory.
about
Maybe
it,
the court
according
is on a
to-
different...
To Mr. Baloyi.
I'm in a different trajectory,
fine,
my
fine,
lord.
fine.
I'm in a different trajectory.
Yes,
And
fine.
whether or not that information is there, I can't
Yeah, okay.
remember. But my trajectory in this instance, Brigadier Gininda, is as follows. Whilst Khumalo was seated in the house and they got accosted by those two intruders, she was able to have a look at this person who had a firearm in his possession and which the state has come to tell this court that that person who had a firearm in his possession is accused number 3. And according to Khumalo, that person who had a firearm in his possession was that person who was exhibited at the identification parade and then has been as in this court who's holding a placard number 11. Whether that person was the right person or not, that's not for you to determine. We're still trying to come to the exact identity of the perpetrators. According to Khumalo, that is the person who had a firearm. And that accords very well with the description of the dreadlocks that are coming to the neck portion. Is that not so?
umakhumalo ke uthi ngoba yena esesendlini wababona labantu ababili abangena bazohlasela wakwazi ukumbheka wambona lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu and uthi lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu umsola wesithathu kodwa kuyabonakala ukuthi yena uma sekhomba lapho wakhomba lo muntu obonakala lapho esithombeni ophethe le placard ebhala ukuthi number 11 asikakafikike la ekutheni sikwazi ukuthi siveze kahle ukuthi bawobani labantu abahlasela lapha akunjani.
No, I beg to differ, my lord. My lord, I thought investigation is a systematic way of finding the truth. So if a person makes an error, be it intentional or otherwise, and evidence shows that this is a wrong person, you cannot now ignore the truth, because that is the purpose of finding the truth. That is what our justice system is all about. That's the first aspect, my lord.
Manje kokuqala ngifuna ukusho ukuthi ke ukuphenya indlela yokuthi ke kubhekwe kanzulu ukuthi kwenzeke uma ukuthi khona wenze iphutha kusho ukuthi kufanele kumiwe kungasaqhutshekelwa phambili kufanele kuqhutshekwe kuzama ukuthi kufinyelele eqinisweni.
Secondly, my lord, Mrs. Khumalo made her statement, the first statement, that is A12, on the 27th of October 2014. And in that statement, she described the intruder which had a firearm with dreadlocks, not where they end. She simply mentioned the issue of the firearm, the demanding of cell phone and money, and the Zulu language. And that the person had dreadlocks, which I was asking if it's corroborated. So that is the first, that is the second part, my lord. Then I'll go to the third part.
Manje okwesibili ukuthi uma Khumalo wabhala isitatimende sakhe ngomhla ka-27 October 2014 ila echaza khona ukuthi lo muntu lo wangena lapha wayephethe isibhamu nokuthi wafika bacela ama-cellphone nokuthi-ke wayenama-dreadlocks.
Then, my lord, and it's important to follow the proper sequence of the events because it talks to why the issue of A58 is not really what Advocate Mnisi is saying with greatest respect. Now, first statement is 27 October 2014. Then the identity parade, my lord, is held on the 29th of October 2014, where Mrs. Gladys Khumalo goes and then identify this gentleman, Mr. Mbata, on the 29th of October, 2 days later after she disposed a statement where she didn't describe the length of the dreadlocks on the first statement, which is A12.
Manje-ke okunye-ke ukuthi-ke kufanele silandelele ukuthi lezi zinto lezi zenzeka kanjani ngoba isitatimende sokuqala esenzwa uMakhumalo wasenza ngomhla ka-27 October kodwa-ke lesi ikhomba yona yenzwa ngomhla ka-29 October la afika khona akhomba umuntu.
Now, on that ID parade, my lord, of the 29th of October, it's prudent to mention that the photographer was there, and these photos were taken on the 29th of October. Now, on the 6th of November, that is days later, then Mrs. Makhumalo meets the police and disposes A58. So this is now how A58 come into existence. It comes into existence after the ID parade has been held. The photographer has taken the photos of this gentleman that is depicted. Then A58 comes into existence. So how could you then say this is how Mrs. Khumalo saw the intruders? Because it comes much later after there was an ID parade.
Manje-ke emva kuleyo ID parade leyenzwa ngomhla ka-29 October uMakhumalo wayenza ukuthi kukhona nalabo ababethatha ney'thombe kodwa-ke u-A58 isitatimende asenza wasibhala ngomhla ka-6 November sekudlule iy'nsuku.
Yes, that's my explanation, my lord.
Brigadier, I'm going to say again that you are missing a lot of points here. The issue is about the person that Ms. Makhumalo saw. It's not about the statements. Whether or not A58 was taken after this identification parade, it is neither here nor there. But if it were to be there, then it basically confirms what she identified at the identification parade before she penned this statement. That's all. It's just a confirm. Basically, what you are saying confirms what Ms. Makhumalo saw. Thank you.
Ngizokusho wena kuqinisekisa ukuthi yini uMakhumalo ayibona ngoba yena wathi mesezochaza ku-A58 wachaza lento yena ayibona.
My lord, I don't know whether I should then repeat what I've said because I thought I tried to put it in the sequence form and explain what is my view with regard to A58 and subsequently the ID parade. So I don't know whether I should now go back to the same thing because that is my view. That is my view. This A58 is not A12. In A12, there's no description. ID parade takes place, and I'm repeating it, my lord. Photographs are taken. Then Mrs. Khumalo, Gladness, is then approached for the statement in relation to the ID parade. She even mentions on one of the paragraphs, my lord, in A58, where she says, I identified an individual bearing number 11. She's specific that this is the person that she identifies. And person bearing number 11, dreadlocks up to the neck, my lord. So that is the essence of it. And I agree, where we agree or we're finding each other with with Advocate Mnisi is that a wrong person was identified. That's my view. I'm saying a wrong person was identified, and this was ventilated way before my time, my lord, before I came on board by the initial investigators, and subsequently this person was removed from investigation.
Manje-ke ngisho ukuthi u-A58 akuyena u-A12 la kuba lapha ku-A12 akukho ncazelo le echaza ukuthi umuntu wayenjani. Engisho ukuthi lo muntu lona owabonwa wakhonjwa uMakhumalo kwakuwumuntu owayephethe unumber 11 and siyavumelana nobaba Mnisi ukuthi loyo kwakungena lo muntu wayekhombe umuntu okungeyena and futhi-ke kunjalo mina ngangaqali lokhu kwenzeka mina ngaqali nokusebenza umsebenzi ukuphenya leli cala.
Thank you, Brigadier. I'm at least at idem with you when you say that is your view. Thank you. My lord, A58, I'm going to request, and I'm requesting that it be handed in as an exhibit, albeit on a provisional basis unless the state changes its mind, with me authenticating this statement. But nonetheless, may it be handed in as an exhibit. We will revisit it again when we request Ms. Khumalo to come and clear what is happening here. I'm not so sure what exhibit this should then be, my lord.
That would be triple V. Oh, I'll just confirm that should be triple V.
As it is, my lord. Mark it. Thank you, my lord. State has just come to my rescue and prepared a copy for the court. Thank you very much, my colleagues. Thank you very much. Thank you, my lord. Now, you said yesterday, that of the people that were in the house, you only approached Madlala and Mtogozi Sitwala, who told you that they would not have been, that they were not certain about the identity of the intruders, and at the same time, you kept on saying that whilst you did that, you already knew who the perpetrators were, not so?
So khumbula ukuthi wena wakhuluma noMadlala noThwala ubuza ukuthi lawa akutshela ukuthi bona abanasiqiniseko ukuthi ubani abeza abazohlasela manje kodwa wena uthi wawuswazi ukuthi ubani abahlasela.
So, my lord, the context of my response, yes, I did say that, but the context needs to be understood how I said it. I've indicated, and I went back, my lord, to Absalom Zungu, to Constable Zungu, and going up, that at that stage when these people, and this information, my lord, is contained in the statements. If you look at the commissioning statements of Mr. Madlala and Mtogozi Sitwala, you will realize that I approached them after Exhibit HA and JJ were already done. You know, there were statements of other witnesses who were implicating this accused, including Absalom Zungu. So, yes, my lord, with greatest respect to Mnisi, I knew they were already pointers to this accused. That is why I wanted to establish from them that can they participate, can they be able to identify the perpetrators if they have such a recollection in the event we line these people up on the ID parade. You have to know who are your suspects before you prepare an ID parade. You can't prepare an ID parade if you do not know your suspects.
Yebo, uMadlala noThwala laba ngaya kubona ngoba ngangifuna ukuthi bazongisiza, ngangifuna ukuthi bangicela ukuthi bangisize ukuthi ngikwazi ukuthi ngithi ubani laba engangifuna ukubafaka lapha kukhomba ngoba akwazi ukuthi uyofaka abantu ukukhomba ungazi ukuthi ubani. Kufanele bese usulungisela uswazi ukuthi ubani abasolwa bakho uma ukuthi usiyokwenza ikhomba.
Thank you. Now, in relation to Longwe, Khumalo, Zandi, and Kelly, you told the court that you did not even bother to ask them whether or not they would be able to identify these people because already you knew who the perpetrators of this offense were, not so?
Nje laba abanye zange ukwazi noLongwethwala nalaba abanye zange babuze ukuthi ubani ababehlasela ngoba wawuswazi ukuthi abasolwa bakho ubani anginjalo.
But my lord, that's not what I said. That's really not what I've said. I've said there was no discussions. I said it was a procedural driven investigation. Advocate Mnisi even mentioned the number of years between the three advocates to say they are well advanced in terms of experience. And he was going to the point of saying they will not have advised that ID parade should be held. That's not what I've said. What I've said, there was no directive given that an ID parade must be held. I further indicated the reasons, my lord, which is, my lord, you know, and I need to go back and say this. And that's why I said I thought the purpose of investigation is to find the truth, not to assume things. When we were conducting investigation, my lord, and came to a point where it was initiated, and I've dealt with this, I'm repeating this because I've dealt with this yesterday. that the trigger point is Miss Kelly Khumalo. This is now when we came across accused 1 and 2. You need to investigate, to collaborate that event. But subsequently, when other things came up, the bag of money, which is see-through, the communication between the sisters, the mother identifying the wrong person, because these people are family. Logic, my lord, because you will not be doing justice if you do not investigate. So first you start by investigating and see that can you collaborate what is being said, but also identify other people who are in the house, if indeed they were involved. That is why I said, after thorough investigation, my lord, we could not find anything wrong insofar as Mrs. Zandi Khumalo. And by the time we got to the stage where we said, okay, now we can consult with these people, my lord, that's why I said the train had left the station. We already knew some of these accused, and I think the matter when we spoke to Mrs. Khumalo Gladness in particular, the matter was already enrolled. If I recall her in particular, the matter was already enrolled. These accused were already publicized, my lord. So there was an investigation because there was assertion or allegation that Ms. Kelly Khumalo was the trigger point. You then need to investigate, to collaborate it. I dealt with what we found insofar as Ms. Kelly Khumalo is concerned, but then it didn't end there, my lord. You need to investigate the others so that you can see if there was no collusion. That's how you actually deal with the truth, and that's what I did, my lord.
Okwenzeka la ukuthi ukuthi kwakumshushisi owayesihola ngokuthi uphenyo luhamba kanjani. Ngoba ngithi uma ungumuntu umuntu weyaphenya siphenyela ukuthi sithole iqiniso, asiphenyeli nje ukuthi sivele sisho esifuna ukusho. Ngoba ngishilo ukuthi ke into eyenze ukuthi siye kumsolo oqala nesibili ukuthi nje kwavela indaba yokuthi uKelly Khumalo owasenza ukuthi sicabanga ukuthi sifanele siye kumsolo oqala nowesibili. And futhi ke uma uyophenya ufanele uphenyele ukuthi uthole ulwazi oluzoqinisekisa lokho osukutholile. Ngoba kwakungekho lutho silibona lulubi ngalobufakazi esasithole kuZandi Khumalo.
But the bottom line is you never approached them for an identification parade. So
Kodwa ke wena uzange uye kubona yobacela ukuthi bazosiza kukhomba khomba.
There was no directive that it must be held, my lord. I just, with greatest respect, explained it now, my lord, and I dealt with it yesterday.
Saluchaza feke ukuthi kwakungekho sasinganikanga imlayelo ukuthi siyenze leyo khomba khomba.
thank you. But now, in contrast to what you did to Longwe, Khumalo, Zandi, and Kelly by not approaching them for an identification parade, whilst because amongst others, you already knew the identity of the perpetrators. Why did you then have to approach Madlala and Twala when you already knew the identity of the perpetrators?
Manje wawuyini ke isidingo sokuthi ufanele ukumadlala noThwala mokuthi wawuswazi ukuthi abasolo ba.
Yeah, you see, my lord, I don't know how to explain this really. Yesterday, this question, my lord, came as a result, and this is how it came about, because now it's being put to me differently. It came about from Advocate Mnisi saying, I would have needed these people who were in the house to help me identify the perpetrators. And my response was that by the time we go to them, we already had sight of these perpetrators linked by the evidence that was obtained. That is the sequence of it. So now it's been put differently as if now I selected that I need this one to help me to identify people. It's not how it unfolded, my lord. It unfolded exactly as I'm explaining.
Lento yavela ngalendlela engichaza ngayo ukuthi labantu abebengaphakathi endlini njoba esho umbuzo lo uvele ngokuthi ubamnisi bengibuza ukuthi labantu abebengaphakathi endlini bayibona abafanele kube yibona abasisizayo ukuthi sikwazi ukukhomba labantu kodwa ke thina bese sithole ubufakazi obukwazi ukuxhumanisa nalabantu laba esithi sasibona kuhamba so.
That is why, my lord, I said before you arrange an identity parade, you need to know your suspects, because then you need to obviously make proper arrangements as to how many participants will be there, how must they look like, and so forth and so forth. So you cannot, and I've said this earlier, my lord, arrange an ID parade without knowing. So when it comes to Madlala, at that stage, my lord, the suspects were known, and they were known because right at the beginning, my lord, through Absalom Zong, which I've indicated, Constable Zong, Exhibit HH, JJ, prior to that, confessions by accused 1 and 2. You know, all the collaboration, that evidence it led us eventually to all the accused, my lord. That is before we approach any of the witnesses or the people who were inside the house, my lord.
Manje njengoba ngishilo ukuthi awukwazi ukuthi wenze ikhomba ungakabazi abasolwa wakho ufanele bazi abasolwa wakho ukuthi obani ukuze ukwazi ukuthi umuwenza amalungiselelo ukuthi kube nekhomba uyazi usuyazi ukuthi udinga abantu abangaki and abantu abanjani futhi ke umadlala lona ke kwafika ukuthi kusho ukuthi abasolwa laba sasesazi ukuthi obani ngoba kwakukhona ubufakazi obabesihole ekutheni sigcine sazi ukuthi labo basolwa obani.
I'm done, my lord, yes.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now, Longwe was one of the persons that was in the house.
Ulongo kwakuomunye wabantu ababekhona endlini
When this incident happened, and he also, when requested to give an identity of the perpetrators who accosted them, he did that with distinctions.
futhi kumecelwa ukuthi achaze ukuthi ubani ababahlasela wakwenza lokho.
My lord, can I request the ID parade form, just for ease of reference, you know, just to make sure that myself and Advocate Mnisi, we are on the same page with regard to this last assertion that is putting to me, my lord. Advocate.
I only have one with me. I thought as an investigating officer it must be there on your main file.
Yes, but we exchange documents from time to time, and I gave it to the state, my lord.
With who? Who do you exchange the documents
The
from
state.
time to time?
The state.
Oh, with Advocate Bado.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, my lord. May I proceed, Maria? Do you
Yes, you
have in
can
your
proceed.
possession that document?
You can proceed. Yes.
Thank you. Now, Advocate Mr. Longetwala penned several statements here. I think there is A9, there is A113. Now, I'm referring to there is A57 in bracket 1. No. I think it's A57. They just marked those pages in bracket 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, that is now A9, A113, and A57.
Yes, my lord, I agree. You made various statements, so I take it what Advocate Mnisi is telling me is correct, because I know you made different statements, various statements, my lord. I can agree with that.
Yes. So, maybe before we proceed on this aspect, did you have a consultation with Longetwala?
Wake wakhuluma noLongitwala?
Yes, we did, my lord.
Yebo sakwenza.
Did you take him through the statements?
Wakuchazela ngalezi statement?
Yes, my lord.
Yebo ngichazela.
Thank you. So they were basically authenticated. There's no dispute about who wrote the statement and the content thereof, not so?
Kusho ukuthi akukhombisa nokuthi ubani wabhala lesi statement akunjalo.
So, well, the fact that he made statements, my lord, that was agreed, that he made statements, but there were a lot of inconsistencies in terms of what is contained in a statement and what he was recalling when we were consulting with him, my lord.
Yebo wasenza statement kodwa kuningi nje okungangaqondakalela ngaphakathi kwalezi statement.
I'm not talking about the content. I'm talking about authentication of the statement. When you referred him to A9, he said, yeah, no, that's me. When you referred him to A113, he said, that's me. And when also you, well, there's one statement that I did not refer you to, that is A106. But then when you referred to him again to A57, he said, yeah, no, that's the statement I made. And to A106, he also said, that is the statement that I also made. That is what I'm interested on, let alone the content of those statements.
singakhulume ngaphakathi kwethu.
That is not correct. That's not how you authenticate a statement. You identify the signature and also agree with the content, and also agree that there was no miscommunication between you and the interpreter, and confirm the contents.
So, is that what you did? When you were taking Longetwala through these statements that I'm going to refer you to now, is that what you did? Longetwala, A9, is that your statement? Was it commissioned before you? Did you append your signature? This is a consultation process, unless you're telling me that you really do not know how to consult with the witness. And this being a prosecutor-led investigation, they should have guided you. Thank you.
The witness already said there were inconsistencies in the statement. I don't know what counsel wants the witness to say.
I'm not talking about the content. I'm talking about the person who wrote the statement. There could have been inconsistencies, there could have been discrepancies, there could have been misunderstanding in the content of the statement, but this statement remained his. The question is, when you took him through, and that is what you said, that you did, when you took him through these statements, did you say to him, Longwe, I'm Chelendon, the signature that is appearing there, is it yours?
Manje uma lokho nibheka lesi statement naye kulongwe kwawumkhombisa yini la ekusayinwe khona wambuza ukuthi la kusayiniwe la wena owasayina yini?
So, my lord, I think I've answered this question, that when I consulted with Mr. Longetwala, there was, insofar as what he remembers and what was contained in the statement, there was a big difference. There was no consistency. So there is no statement which he owned to say, this is how I recall. And that's what I answered earlier when this question was put to me.
Ngiphendulile ngaphambili nathi hayi kukhona ukungahambisani kwalento ayikhuluma naloko okubhalwe ku statement.
And I can add, my lord, that the last consultation we had with Mr. Longetwala even happened at the DPP, because the state advocate wanted to consult with him, including the doctor. That is the last consultation, obviously in preparation of the trial. Even in that instance, there were these inconsistencies of not him being able. So you couldn't take A9, for example, and then say, he then says, yes, I agree with the contents wholeheartedly. That's what I was saying, my lord, initially.
Hayi futhi sayigcina sesiye nako DPP yini ngoba u-state advocate wayefuna ukukhulumisana naye ukuzama ukulungiselela le cala, kodwa nakhona ke lapho kwakuningi okwakubonakala ukuthi cha akahambisani nakho, akakuvumi ukuthi yebo kwakuyi-statement sami leso.
Thank you. Justice. Just a second, my lord. Thank you. In the list of state witnesses, the longer that I'm referring to is the one that is appearing as a witness number 3 in the list of witnesses in terms of section 144, 3A of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977. Now, in the course of disclosure, when we're preparing for this trial, this is what the state gave us. And I'm going to start with A113. I'll come back to the others. Now, like I did with Ms. Khumalo, the senior, I will not go through the statement with regard to what was happening in their house, whether they were eating, how they were seated, and stuff like that. No, we're not concerned about that for now. You see, all that we're concerned about is what this trial is about, the identity of the perpetrators. I'm going to limit my approach in terms of this statement to that. And on paragraph 5, this is what it says in A113. In paragraph 5, this is what it says. He says, they all started cracking jokes and we all laughed. Just as Kelly was about to tell the joke, I noticed the two black guys, one tall, light in complexion, and the other one with dreadlocks was short and dark in complexion. He was wearing a khaki jacket. The first guy went towards Kelly, with the shorter one following him. The one with the dreadlocks cocked or breached the firearm and demanded the cell phones and money in isiZulu. Then there was a struggle between Kelly and the other guy on the door to open. I stood up and tried to rush for the guy with the firearm, and not knowing that he will shoot me, and I got a chance to escape through the kitchen door. That is paragraph number 5. Now, the gist, my question, or the gist of my approach is his description of the guy who had a firearm, which the state is telling this court that it is accused number 3. Let us go to his description. He says, I noticed the two black guys, one tall, light in complexion, and the other one with dreadlocks was short and dark in complexion. He was wearing a khaki jacket. Let us just pause there.
ayesibheke lapha incazelo nomuntu okuthiwa wesiphethe isibhangu wathiwa bangena abantu ababili omunye oqala ke kwaumuntu omude okhanyayo owesibili kuthiwa umuntu owanama-dreadlocks wemfishane futhi ke ensundu yena.
The photo is just disappeared on the screen. I don't know. Thank you.
My Lord, I'm not sure whether I'm expected to speculate. I've indicated, my Lord, that when we engaged with Mr. Twala, Longe Twala, there was no understanding that any of these statements, he was not according himself with any of these statements. So I do not know really how to assist in what has been put to me, because I'm not the author of these statements. I was not there when they were taken. I only came in at a later stage. The only thing that I can say, if now questions are put to me, I'm really going to speculate and identify because I was not there. When we met him, and I've even took it further, my Lord, that the last meeting we had with him, it was with the state advocate, both advocates that are here for the state. And it was the same situation where he could not attach himself to any of the statements. Now, how it's a difficult situation. I don't know how to assist in responding to this question, my Lord.
Thank you.
Understanding. So you did not affirm any of the statements.
No, I did not, my Lord.
You didn't make Longwe tell you his version,
Yes.
and thereafter administer the oath to
Yes.
Longwe in each of the statements.
In all the statements.
Never, ever, in all
Not
the statements.
ever.
A1, 333, 56, etc.
All of them, my
Never.
Lord. I've never.
Okay.
It's the same with Miss Gladys Khumalo as well. I didn't affirm any of her statements. It's the same position. Same with Kelly Khumalo, none of them were affirmed by me. Same with Zandi Khumalo, none of them were affirmed by me, my Lord.
Akumina ngaqinisekisa izitatimende ekuthiwa lesi sikathwala nesikazandi Khumalo nesikakheli Khumalo.
Thank you. You did did not have to affirm the statement because that has already been done in 2014. You just had to go there and confirm the statement, but nonetheless, let me proceed. Now, Longetwala identifies or describes, not identifies, describes the person that had a firearm in possession on that day as a person with dreadlocks and with a dark complexion. That is what it says. Now, you do well if you say, I don't know whether I need to speculate or what. If you, we don't want speculation. If you don't have a comment, say I don't have a comment or no answer. But please don't speculate. But this is what Longe says in this statement. Now, again, Longwe also attended an identification parade. Are you aware of that?
Yes, in ukuthi ulongo waya kukhomba khomba.
Yes, I am aware, my lord.
Ethi yebo ngiyazi.
That is the same identification parade that Khumalo also attended, not so.
Ethi yona le khomba khomba okwaku ukwaya khona uMakhumalo anginjalo.
That's correct, my lord.
Ethi yebo unjalo.
Thank you. Now, Longwe was called as witness number, in terms of the form, in terms of the identification parade form, on paragraph number 25, he was called as the first witness to get into the area where he had to go and identify. And the results were as follows. Actually, let me read paragraph number 25 into the record. It says, or it's written in Afrikaans and English. In Afrikaans it says, Eerste getuie, de naam Longwetwala, taal Zulu. Is gevra om die verdagte of verdagtes in die topparade uit te wys deur sy hand, hul skouers aan te maak, wat datum, tydplek en klagte, that was in brackets. Now this is what the person was meaning the parade wrote here. He says, robbed you, shot and killed Senzo at 13511 at Kotwanong Street, Mzamo section, extension 111, first arrest on 26 October 2014 at 2000 hours. Now, subparagraph 1 of paragraph 25 says, tyd deur getuie geneem om persoon op paraat uit te wys. The time that is taken by the suspect to, by the witness to identify the suspect, it says 3 minutes. Then it says 8 slag are results. And then it says, I suspect number 11, Zamambata, wearing a fawn t-shirt with stripes and blue check trouser. Reaction of reactie van getuie tydens uitwysings van persone, none. Now, at the identification parade, Longwe goes and identifies the person that is being as having number 11 on the screen. That is Mr. Mbata. Longwe says, this is the person who, according to my observation, had a firearm on that day. And this accords exactly with the description that it gave. Dreadlocks and dark in complexion.
Manje lapha kukhomba khomba uLongwethu wafika khomba lo muntu wayephethe number 11 ukwakuwumbatha. Athi ke yena ule muntu lo wayephethe isibhamu and akusebenzisa kakhulu wemkhombeni ukuthi wayenama dreadlocks futhi wayenebala elinsundu.
My lord, like I said, I don't know where I'm expected to speculate because really, I don't know. I was not part of this ID parade. I did not arrange this ID parade. All I can say is that in all Mr. Longetwala's statements, nowhere does it mention the perpetrator by name. These results is clearly specific that is suspect number 11, Zamambata. He mentions this person by name, and in all his statements, nowhere does he say he knows the person by name. And that is why I said, my lord, the identification of this individual was investigated, and it was found that this was the wrong identification. That was the result, that was the outcome of the investigation after this person was arraigned, charged, and taken through the process.
Sorry, I don't understand it again. You say there was a doctor at the last interview of Longwe, together with the DPPs, at the DPP's office.
Yes, Dr. Klokwe. No. I'm referring to this doctor, our
Oh, I
doctor.
see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the PhD doctor, my lord.
Oh, I see.
Dr. Sibanda.
So you want to involve Dr. Shobe also?
No. Dr. Sibanda, my lord.
Thank you. And the statement that he gives the description of the suspect, which he ultimately identified at the identification parade, was commissioned on the 25th of November 2015. 25 November 2015. I think I can only assume, I wasn't there, that this was the day on which this statement was taken. In 25 November 2015, it's almost a year after this incident had happened. He could still describe the person who had a firearm in his possession. Thank you.
Shoulding ngomhla 25 kuNovember 2015 kwase kudlule unyaka emva kosuku lesigameko ulo kodwa ke la kuyabonakala ukuthi wayesakwazi ukuthi achaze ukuthi lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu wayenjani.
My lord, like I said, I think we've dealt with this matter, my lord. This accused was charged after this ID parade, arraigned, taken to the bail, I think was even opposed, but later investigations at that time, my lord, revealed that this is the wrong person, and subsequently the matter was then removed from the roll. That was right at the beginning. Subsequent to that, my lord, there was no evidence that was found that this person was indeed, this person was investigated. Even after the matter was removed, my lord, there was thorough investigation, and he was excluded by means of DNA and all other evidence that was collected at the time, including his alibi, where he was when this incident took place, was confirmed. When I got involved, I also looked into that, and I did not find anything that suggests that this is the person who was involved. So we are dealing with someone that was excluded in the investigation, my lord.
Manje lo muntu lo okhulunywa ngayo sekwabonakala ukuthi kwangeyena ngoba nanoma ke kwakhonjwa lapha wathathwa lo muntu wayiswa ezinkantolo waboshwa ngikhumbula nokuthi nebail yakhe wanqatshelwa ukuthi athole ibhoyili kodwa ke emva kokuthi ke afathwe ezinkantolo kwenziwe nophe kwabonakala ukuthi cha akuyena lo muntu leli cala laze ligcina lichithiwe. Futhi ke sasebenzisa izinto eziningi zokuthi silethe isiqiniseko sokuthi akuyena ngempela ngoba kwahlolwa nokuthi laba athi bangamsiza ukuchaza ukuthi wayengekho lapho ngendaba ngosuku lesigameko. Yebo sahamba sokhuluma nabo sakwazi ukuthi sithole leso siqiniseko. Sasebenzisa nolibofuzo iDNA ukuthi sihlole neDNA yasisiza ukuthi kubonakala ukuthi akuyena.
Furthermore, my lord, even the DNA, the court will remember that I dealt with the DNA that excluded everyone that was in that were the people with the witnesses who were inside the house. This person was not picked up by any inch of the DNA. So I'm talking about exclusion, that it was not merely investigators deciding that we're excluding this individual. Extensive investigation was done, which I've looked at, and it was excluded because there was no objective evidence, my lord, that was found. But most importantly, my lord, this witness, this accused, or this suspect rather, was a known resident. In other words, it's a person that if he was the perpetrator, as the name is being mentioned, from the beginning, people would have said, the perpetrator, we know him, is Zamambata. That was not the case. This was a local person. It's not a person that was arrested from another town, brought in this place. And those facts, unfortunately, my lord, when they were taken into account, this person was already arrested. And that is why the importance of collaboration is important. That is why when I received the confessions, I did not rush to say, now that we have a confession, it's now a ticket. People must now be arraigned. You try and get evidence to collaborate so that you find objective and indisputable evidence to avoid such things, my lord.
Njengoba sengikhulumile ukuthi iDNA ulibofuzo lwasetshenziswa and futhi le lapho ufuzo lwasiza ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi sibone ukuthi cha ngempela akuyena lo muntu ngoba lwamchitha impela lwamke ngokwathatha ufuzo lwabo bonke ababe lapha endlini futhi kwasiza lo ukuthi sikwazi ukubona ukuthi ngempela akuyena lona ngoba phela thina sasifuna ubufakazi obungaphikiseki and futhi ke njoba wayemuntu owaziwayo ohlala endaweni aze ukuthi ubani ukuthi negama lakhe uZamambatho ube kuyena ngempela babeyosho ukuthi cha siyamazi lo kwakuZamambatho manje kwakungekho ubufakazi obushoyo ukuthi uyena.
Thank you for that piece of collaboration, Brigadier Gininda. Then let's go to A57. This is also a statement that was disclosed to us by the state in preparation of this trial, that was penned by Longa Twala, wherein, amongst others, he describes the two perpetrators that got into the house. And this statement was commissioned on the 6th of November 2014. 06 November 2014. As I've said initially, I won't go through the statement because the purpose of my cross-examination at this point in time is nothing else but to dwell or to deal with the identity of the perpetrators. Unfortunately, this statement is not numbered in terms of paragraphs, but A57 on the second page. On top there, it's written A57 in bracket 1. The second page is written A57 in bracket 2. The third page is written A57 in bracket 3. The fourth page, bracket 4, and the fifth page, bracket 5. Now, I'm going to deal with the second page. That is marked A57 in bracket 2. The last paragraph, where it starts with the name Kelly, and I'm going to read it. Now it reads as follows. Now this is a statement that was penned by Longa Twala. It reads as follows. Kelly was standing, was telling a joke, and we were all sitting down listening to her. Burglar door was wide opened, and the door was half opened. I noticed two guys got inside the house. The one who came first was short, dark, having dreadlocks, with cheekbones, wearing a jacket between khaki or light brown in bracket beige jacket. I cannot remember his other clothing. Immediately the tall one followed. He was wearing a black hoodie, but light in complexion. That is all I remember about him. The tall one went to Kelly, and the other one in bracket short was following that tall one. But I stood up, pushed the short one away, but it's when I noticed a firearm on his hand. I cannot remember whether it was right or left hand. I noticed a firearm and quickly ran out of the door. My Lord, I realize that it is almost 17 minutes past 11. Normally at this time, there would be a request that we take a short adjournment. May I make that request as well? Thank you.
Yeah. 15 minutes.